This is a new TK Digital Services tutorial, and in this walkthrough we're going to look at ICT Functional Skills, importing data and formatting a table in Excel. The topics you need to know that we're going to cover in this tutorial is how to import data into Excel, how to format that data, and turning data into a table. Now, depending on which version of Excel you have, there's more than one way of doing this, and we're going to look at both options. Now, the first thing you'll need is an Excel spreadsheet, and you can see I've got mine open called Demo Spreadsheet. I'm currently in the Home tab, but I need to be in the Data tab. Now, on the far left is a window called Get and Transform Data, and this is where I need to be. You can see the various options available to you, but what you'll need for the exam, and what you're more likely to use unless you start getting a more technical job, is the From Text and CSV. From here, it takes you to a window where you can browse the file. Now, for the sake of the exam, it's normally a very clearly labelled, self-explanatory file, normally of a very small size, either CSV or a text document, and clearly labelled to indicate it's possibly a customers list or something along those lines. So we click the file, you can see the file name here, you can see it's a text file. We're going to click Import. Now, after a few moments, depending on how much data is in that file, you get a little preview of your data. Now, I'm not too worried about the file origin. This can look more technical, but we don't actually need to view this. But the delimiter is very important. Now, we can currently see Excel has presumed that each data type is separated by a comma. So it would be Mr, comma, fair, comma, T, and so forth. If I click this drop down, I can see the other options available. And in some instances, I've seen space and tab used. You can always open your text file or CSV to see how it's separated, so you know what delimiter to use. That's correct at this point. Your preview, in this instance, is based upon the first 200 rows. If you're happy with your preview and it looks like how you're going to want the data out, you could just click Load at this point. We are going to have a very quick look at the Transform Data button. Now, this is potentially more technical than we need, and this may look similar to some people, as it's very similar to Microsoft Access and sort of databases. And from here you can remove columns, so without importing it you can say, okay, I don't actually need to see the house number, I don't need to see the city, and so forth. You can change the data types, certain columns, and this is a very similar option to when you import data into Access. You can tell it in advance it's going to be a date format. You can tell in advance it's going to be a logical true or false, and so forth. We don't need to play around with it too much at this point. We're going to focus what we can do within Excel. So we're going to use just the Close and Load button just here. It can take a few moments, but generally speaking it can be quite quick because the files aren't that big we're going to give you. And it depends on which version of Excel you're using, different things may happen. Your data may just import, which is fine, then you can play around and format it. In this instance, in a very recent version of Excel, not only has it imported it, but it's also turned it into a table. In this instance, that means there's actually a table option within Excel with table tools, and also now query tools, which formats the data to make it look clear, and also gives you options like filtering and so forth. But this may not happen in different versions of Excel, and we're going to cover what this does, and how you can also manually do this in a moment. Now, I didn't need the Query and Connections pane, so I've closed that. Now, I can currently see that I've also clicked away from the table. Now, to bring my table options back, if I just click within the table, you can see I've now got the tabs with the ribbons for Table Tools and Query Tools. Now, briefly, for Table Tools, one of the clear things I can do is rename the table. Now, this is particularly useful for use in functions. If I just put customers there, and that means that when I refer to this in a function, to sum, a table, something, I can choose certain columns from a table called customers. It's also very useful in VLOOKUPs and so forth. You can also see that I've got the filter options on, and you can see the filter button just here, and I can choose to show that or not. This allows me to easily sort and filter my data. So if I just wanted to show the title Mrs., I can do, and you can see it is filtered by that field from here. Click it again and select all, so it will come back. Now, by formatting into a table, it's made the title clear, with text white and a set fill that's darker than everything else, so it stands out. Everything else is in black text, but the rows have alternating formatting, so you can clearly read across the rows. Now, if I don't like this colour, I have other options here, table styles, and you may find there's a prompt in your document saying what the company theme is, and just to give you a prompt to make sure you can format in that style. It probably won't be too specific. It may just prompt you to match the company style and get an extra point for that. Okay, I'm actually going to convert this back to a range. We're going to look at some of the formatting options ourselves. Now, just before I do this, you can see there's a fill down here. So if I knew that I was going to type more lines, I can fill down the formatting. But now, we're going to convert this to a range. You can see this is permanently going to remove the query definition from the sheet and convert the table to normal range. And it prompts me to continue or not. That is what I want. So if I click this, you can see the filters are gone. You can see when clicking this, it no longer recognises the table. The only thing it's really kept is some of the formatting. So I click the whole sheet range now. I'm going to click clear, and I'm going to click clear formats. And you see now, all I'm left with is just the text of all the data that would have been originally imported. And for some viewers, depending on what version of Excel you're using, this may actually be all you saw when you imported the data anyway. Now at this point, we can just look at a few basic formatting options that you can do to get an extra point as you're working through the exam. Now you normally get a point for say 2 or 3 different formatting options, and the consideration that your overall table is clear and easy to view and use. Okay, so across the top we want the titles to stand out. One option we could do this is by selecting them all and just clicking bold. Now they stand out a bit more than the rest of the data. I'm not really going to change too much else here, but I can see something happened to my dates. But you may be aware that dates start from the year 1900. And by adding 1 for every day. So without any formatting, the dates look quite strange. If I select these now, I can format these cells to a date, it recognises the number and turns it back into a full day, month and year. So it's 2 pieces of formatting I've done. I might want to change the name and just put them in italics. And that may be all you really need to do. You may find that some data is too long, so in some instances you may want to adjust the rows. You do that by moving your cursor between 2 columns and adjusting the size accordingly. You can change them all to the same size by selecting the whole sheet, changing one, that will change them all to the same size. If you've got a lot of space, you can select them all in one go as well. By moving your cursor between one column and double clicking, it then shrinks back to the largest thing in each cell's column. Okay, so you can adjust that as you wish, either individually or as a whole. Another thing you might want to consider is renaming the sheet. If I right click on the sheet name here, I can go to rename, and I can just put customers. And if I click away, it's now shaped that sheet as customers. And again, it's now clearer. So if I had customers, if I had invoices, if I had lookup sheets and so forth, I could have it much easier to refer to. I don't really think there's too much else I need to do now. That probably all the points you need, but it's worth exploring the formatting on the Home tab where you can colour things and so forth. Now it's your chance to have a go using this practice task. First, you'll need some data to import. For this task, you want it to be either a text file or a CSV file. You can search Lotto Draw History, where you'll find a CSV file to download near the top of the page. Practice importing the data into Excel using the covered method. Explore as many of the options and the settings as you can. Depending on your version of Excel, explore the table ribbon bar and the options available to you. Otherwise, make your data clearer using the options on the Home tab. Now we're just going to show some slides for the topics we covered in this tutorial.